Hello, fellow rosarians. I want to talk to you today about making some hard choices in your garden. If you are like me and you want bloom makers, you just want to see a sea of blooms, then you really need to take a hard look at your roses every year and decide which ones need to come out. As we're looking at them, you want to keep in mind that it takes roses 3 years to fully mature and to look like that catalog picture. If it doesn't bring you joy after your 3rd year, it's got to go. And so for me, I keep that Excel spreadsheet for my tracking. And every single time I order a rose, it's under order status, not even in my garden yet. It goes on the list, and I prepare my labels so that I'm keeping everything properly labeled. I know what I've got. I know when it arrived, who it's from, and what rootstock it's on. And having that information on your tracking spreadsheets will help you to kind of analyze things and make determinations about your environment, what works and what doesn't. Also, after I've decided which ones don't pass that 3-year test, they fail to perform, now it's looking around and making sure that whatever rose I've gotten, it hasn't completely died back. You expect when your roses arrive that they've got 3 canes. If through that season it's now down to 1 cane, I call those 1 cane wonders, then it's got to go. Now I can put those in a pot, give it 1 more year to see if I can have basil breaks, give it some great big roses and fertilizer, get it on a good schedule through the next season. 1 cane wonders, get 1 more year. That's it. So let's go ahead and look at the list really quick so you can see what didn't make it in my yard. As we're looking at this, I want to make sure that we keep in mind, in most cases, I only have 1 vendor that I can say everything I buy from them dies. But if I'm buying from a vendor, and let's say I buy 100 roses a year from 1 vendor, if 4 of them die, do I say, this vendor stinks, I'm never buying from them again? No, because the percentage of roses that made it is very high. And I typically have 10% of roses that don't make it every year. So in the coming season, I'm going to have 200 plus roses come in. It's within an acceptable threshold for me. 20 of them aren't going to make it. So look at 10% of whatever you get. And in my experience, it's normal to lose 10%. So any more than 10%, now I'm taking a harder look at that vendor. So when we look at this list, I've had At Last in my garden now since 2019, 3 of them, not just 1, 3. All 3 of them have failed to grow. I think some of them, they're still actively growing. They look healthy, but they're 1 foot high. I've moved locations. They have still failed to take off. Am I looking at that vendor and saying, I'm not buying from you again? Maybe. Those roses came directly from Home Depot, just so you know, rather than a vendor. So they did not come direct from Proven Winners. They came from Home Depot. So let's keep on looking then. Those roses are going into pots for 1 more season. I give them 1 more opportunity because they have 3 canes. Benjamin Brittons, I've had those now for over 3 years. They look fantastic. They're staying. Chicago Peace, it's got to go. My husband loves Chicago Peace, and I love the color too, but guess what? It gives me 1 bloom a year. 1. I'm sorry, you can't take up that much room in my garden for 1 bloom. You got to go. Now we're looking at Crown Princess Margarita. My Crown Princess Margaritas, I didn't train properly. And so it's a very firm canes that are going straight up. I really want them to be able to wind in, to grow and get those laterals. What am I doing with my Crown Princess Margaritas? I think I've got 3. I have lifted them from the ground, put them in pots, and I am slashing them down hard to about 6 inches. And let's see if we can get it to push new growth that is soft and malleable for me to work with. So that's what's going on with my Crown Princess Margaritas. Earth Angel looks amazing. It's a monster. It is 6 foot tall, blooms prolifically, awesome. Evelyn's, Evelyn is staying. Fiji, I've had Fiji since 19 and it just hasn't been a bloom maker. I really think it was poor stock. It's not the variety itself, because I know a lot of you have had great success with Fiji, but I want to get a replacement for Fiji in the coming year. Hot cocoa has been in a shadier place. I'm not getting rid of it entirely. I want to lift the canopy on the plants that are over there and see if I can give it more room. Lady of Shallot, amazing. Maggie, it took her a while. It took her that full 3.5 years to get going, but Maggie is a beautiful rose. Mary Rose has been terrible for me. I really think it was a poor root because I have another Mary and it's great. So the Mary that I have from 2019 has got to go. And in fact, you guys, I lifted it out of the ground and that Mary has struggled, and it had two Marys together right next to each other. So I don't know how that happened. Maybe it created an own root and that one's taking off. So now I've separated them, replanted it, and we'll see how it does. Munstead wood has been, I want Munstead wood. The color is so pretty, but it's just a terrible rose. It has only grown 2.5 feet or so off the ground, and I get one flush and that's it. He's a one-time bloomer, so he's got to go. Queen of Sweden, it's good. In fact, I'm adding 4 more Queen of Sweden in the next season. Sentimental looked so good until this past season, and it just totally died. So Sentimental took care of itself. Saint Swithon looks good. The Annick Rose, looking at it phonetically, I like to say Anwick, but it's Annick. The Annick Rose has really struggled. It has rose mosaic, and I think it's time for it to come out. Lark Ascending is awesome. The Pilgrim that I got here, I got from Wayside, and it has struggled. It has failed to produce. It's just a pain. So when I mentioned to you that there's one vendor that I can't buy from, in my experience, if I buy from Wayside Gardens, I don't know what it is, but I lose more than 80% of everything that I put in the ground. The Pilgrim survived, but it struggled, so it's got to go. Wisely 2008, it doesn't look great. It's short, it's squatty, it doesn't bloom. So there's the list of the roses that I have been tracking and making sure that I watch them as soon as they hit their 3rd and 4th year. They have failed to produce to my satisfaction, so they've got to go. Now, what I will say is, does that mean that you shouldn't have these varieties in your garden? No, because I don't know if it was poor rootstock, if it's the variety, and I typically give my roses, if something didn't work and I really want it, 3 times. It's 3 times in my yard. And which ones have not produced after the 3rd time? Port Sunlight did not do well. I'm trying Tamara. I don't know, but I'm trying Tamara for the 3rd time. If it doesn't make it, that's it. It's gone. So you need to figure out what works for your zone. So don't rely totally on what I'm saying here. Just keep your tracking, and your spreadsheet's going to look different from mine. Roses that perform and don't. But these are, I need to take action on them so that I can put roses in there and give them an opportunity. Just as an overall general comment for recommendation, if you're struggling with black spot, I have found Cortez roses are amazing, just amazing, and they are so resistant to disease. And Mayan also, I have mentioned to you in my last video that I'm partnering with Star Roses in the coming year. You're going to see a lot more of the Cortez variety being added to my garden. I love their roses, and their roses love my garden. So let's go ahead and take one quick look at the roses that I've pulled out to share with you out of the garden that died prior to that 3-4 year checkpoint. So here we are over next to the garage where I'm going to be housing a lot of the roses that I want to give one more season. As I was walking by, I saw Blue Girl, Blue girl is not going to make it, and she's got one cane, so she now is a one cane wonder and goes in there to see if she gets one more year using great big roses and fertilizer on a regular schedule to see if she decides to pick up her game. So let's go ahead and look at these really quick. So you can see here I have Sharifa asthma. I need to put it in a slightly larger pot and bury the crown to see if that helps her to take off. So this is the Lady Gardener, and when we look at it, yes, it's one cane with two branches coming off of it. Queen of Sweden. She's dead, but I want to try. We'll see if she surprises me. Twilight Zone. Twilight Zone is one cane, and I've really wanted to see these beautiful blooms, purple blooms, and it has just failed. This is Ferdinand Pilchard. I have tried for years and years. I love this striped rose, and it has just done terrible. And it looks so pretty in England, so it really must do well for some people, not for me. Ebb Tide, one cane wonder. Mr. Lincoln, one cane. Heirloom. I wanted that pretty color. This actually has two canes, but it just looks so weak, and so it needs some extra attention. As I mentioned to you, sentimental. It looks so good up until this year, and I lost a cane, and so now it only has one cane. This is Sweet Rose of Mine. I really loved this rose. It has one very weak cane. It can't stay. You guys know I love Bliss. I love Bliss so much that I'm adding 20 more to my already 15 maybe. Bliss is amazing. So here's a Bliss, and it just looks terrible. But can I say that I don't like Bliss? No, because I love it. For whatever reason, this is just a very weak root. Comte de Chabord. Two canes. It is pushing a basal break, so I have really high hopes that in the coming season this is going to do a lot better. A couple more. PAOK. I have tried. I have dreamed about this rose. I do see that it has cane borer damage, which we've talked about can really severely limit the health of a rose, so you have to watch out for that. But it's just done terrible, and so I can see here it's got, 4 canes. So it should be doing better. I know a lot of you have success with that one, so I did add her again last season, but she's a tiny baby, so she hasn't shown me a whole lot yet. Okay, a couple more. Okay, Over the Edge. One cane wonder, and that one cane looks terrible. So I'm not happy with Over the Edge. All right, so these are the roses that I just pulled out as I was doing walkabouts that didn't make it at all. Completely dead. They don't even get potted up. Paul Neyron did not make it. Roald Dahl did not make it. Young Lycidas didn't make it. I want a young Lycidas. It was so pretty when I went to England. England's Rose didn't make it. Sweet Juliet. I do have at least 2 or 3 other Sweet Juliet, so that was just, an anomaly. So completely dead. So I hope that helps you to see how I make those tough calls. I look at it analytically, or I'm looking at a spreadsheet to see, has it hit its stride? Is it 3 and 4 years old? If the answer is yes, and it brings me joy and it only has one bloom, then go ahead and keep it in your garden. But in the event that it's hit its 3rd and 4th year, it's still not producing and it's not bringing me joy, well, that's an easy call. It needs to go. And then, of course, looking for their one cane wonders. I'm not going to give them the heave-ho, but I'm going to give them an opportunity one more year to show me that they can push some basal breaks, get some new canes, and that they can be performers in the garden. So thanks so much. I'll see you in the next one.